here, you know, if I zoom in, it's roughly here in his body, just directly under it. Now if I go to frame, say, the equivalent frame here, the foot is much further back. Now what's the reason for that? Well, the reason for that is very simple. The one minor issue you may have when you're doing this is it's harder to get the stride length correct. By that I mean the stride length of the feet, where the feet are in relation to the body of the character. Now there are ways around this. One way around it is because what happens is if your stride length, if his hop is a little shorter, so for example, if this position here and the position he lands at frame 25, you can actually see the foot at frame 25 is slightly further behind, you know, slightly further this way than it is. It's meant to be exactly the same position as it is here, but you can see here it's slightly further backwards. What that means is his actual jump, his stride, if you like, the stride of the jump is shorter, and it's slightly shorter than it should be. And if you repeat that slightly shorter jump stride, you know, again and again, what happens is the foot gets further and further back. It's like, you know, if you had a mirror, a ruler that only measured 29 centimeters, but it was meant to measure 30, and you had to measure a long distance, those centimeters it was missing would gradually add up. So anyway, there is a way around this. A very easy way around this is just to go further along your in your cycle, where the foot's quite far back, and I can take this. I can also select the foot first to make sense, and even though I'm at frame 150, I can go to, you know, the end of my cycle, my repeated cycle, and I can just move this so it's more in the correct position. See, like this. And what that will do was it will just get rid of that error that I have. So now if I was to look at him, you know, hopping, you see I no longer have, and I think I can probably go, you know, say if I went to 300, I could probably go quite far, and I'll see if I'm having the same problems at 300. You can see it. You see it's still fine. So oops, and of course I have to do the same thing. I almost forgot with this foot. So I'll just go to 230 or somewhere far. No, I'll go to 150. So and this foot this time, and going back again to the original cycle, which ends at frame 25, and all I'm doing is just pushing this forward a bit so that it makes sense, and that will just get rid of that kind of unwanted, because as I've repeated it multiple times, that means if I'm looking, the trick is always to make your adjustments after having cycled it multiple times. Not, you know, don't make your adjustments after 2 cycles. Make them after having multiple cycles, because then you know that if there is an error, because you've looked at it much further down the line, as it were, the chances that you are making a substantial error to the position of the leg are much smaller. So, and there are other ways you can do it. I mean, I'll show you one other method, which is maybe a little bit long-winded and unnecessary, but you know, perhaps it might be. I can see there's one thing I don't like about this. So I can see this goes up, and then this kind of needs to come down a bit, I think, when he hits the ground. So it's kind of bang, and this will also be coming down a bit. So it'll be, so it goes up, and that'll go down a bit. So it'll come down before it comes up. Want that kind of bounce. So it goes, whoa. So up, and that'll still be coming up. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Up like that. Anyway. Yep. So it's kind of like. that when it's falling will still be up. Yeah, you can make little changes to make it look better. This isn't this obviously you could do some work. That's better, like that. Let's see, something like this. Okay, but I'll show you the other method of getting the leg in the right position. If you want to, is using the measuring tools. And to do that, you can simply, and like I said, this isn't necessary, but it's just to show you a different way. I can create a locator, and make sure I show locators. And let me see, there it is there. And I'm just going to select his main control, shift select the locator, and go constrain. Make sure I'm in the animation menu, constrain, and I'm going to go constrain parent. Make sure maintain offset's off, apply. That's just going to put the locator right in the middle of him. Then I'm going to delete that constraint, and I'm going to move this locator down there to, so this is the center of his body, if you like. And then I'm going to take the measuring tools, and I'm going to measure from the tip of his toe to this center point. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit. So I'll go create, edit. Oh, I always forget what these are. 1 second. Measuring tools. Ah, there we go. Measure tools. Distance tool. Okay, so I've got one there. So I'm going to go from this, click on this point here, and then I'm going to click at the end of his toe. And I'm just going to show all so I can see it. So I can see here that that distance is 1.37. So yeah, 1.37. Yeah. Now, if I was to do the same thing again, just to see, let's see how close I was just by doing it the other method. I'm going to go to frame 25, and I'm going to do the same thing. You can see this is a little bit long-winded, so I'm going to select his main control, and I'm going to select the locator I made, and I'm going to go, I'll just constrain point, and no, I think I selected the wrong one. It's locator number 1. So this, locator number 1, constrain point, and then I'm just going to delete this point constraint. I'm going to pull this down again, if I can pull it down to the same place, and then I'm going to get the measuring tools again, and I'm going to go from here, from here to here, and I'll make sure, and that is, I'll do that again. Wait a minute, I'm going to do that one more time. It's a bit annoying. So wait, I'll delete these a second. So I'm going to go from the distance tool from here to, right, it says 1.5, so it's actually a little bit off. So yeah, if I was to be, I could potentially then, I maybe made the foot too far forward, so I could pull this back, selecting this and locator 3. I could pull this back a bit. So I'm going to get 1.37. No, pull it forward actually. There we go, 1.37. So there we go. So that would be, if you select the last locator and the control, you could move it so you get it in the same position. So this is his midpoint, if you like, pulled down to the ground, and so that's 1.37. So that's essentially the same. So yeah, 2 ways of doing it. Okay, so we've done that. I'm just going to add the last touches, and you know, it's the same thing if you're doing, I'm just going to put some squash and stretch. So let's see, so he's got, right, this is relatively straightforward. So he's going to go down, let's see if he drops down to frame 8. So maybe it's a bit of a pull as he goes down. So it goes down a bit more, and then as he comes up to frame 60, 15, 16. Maybe it compresses a little bit as it comes in. So it's going to compress, and then it will stretch it. See how much compress, maybe a bit. You can do different things with these, but it compresses a bit, and then so pull it, and then 70 as it comes. Then it's going to stretch quite a bit as it comes down. So it's got up, down, pull this back a bit. That is going to be down. Sorry, I'm changing this a bit, and then it will maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll change it so it goes so flatten up, and then this goes like this. Then we've got more of a stretch. We almost there. And yeah, that's nice. And then it's going to come down again just to the kind of flat. As it comes down, and copy this. Copy frame number 1. That's going to be in. So it ends up like this in frame 25. Up, and then maybe you have a wobble the other direction, so there's a bit of this. So you've got this. There you go, so something like that. And I'll just turn this on. So, yeah. And then we can oh, I can see there's one thing that's a little bit weird about this. Let's have a look at this up and down motion. That's okay. The foot here is alright. Maybe it could come down a bit faster. Yeah, I think it's here. Yeah, there's a kind of there seems to be something slightly strange here. This is at a kind of angle, which I'm just going to go back a bit to find out what's going on. So yeah, I think this needs to be flatter. And maybe a bit longer down. This just looks a little strange. And then this needs to be flat on the ground here. You need to get a nice kind of impact. So I'll make the Y 0. And I'll make the Z also 0. Yeah, that'll help it. It's just, and I think Y, these two Y's also have to be 0. Kind of slightly off the ground. It's looking weird. So like that. So there we go. And then, yeah. Let's see, polygons. Yeah, so there you go, Monty hopping. I mean, I must admit, it's not it's a slightly languid hop. I think it's just, maybe it's the speed that his body comes off here that needs to be increased a bit. I think maybe it's just feels a little slow. Maybe I need to, and maybe this foot here is also too slow. It needs to come up a bit faster. Yeah, it just feels all feeling a bit. Yeah, maybe that's better. And oh, of course I need to Mustn't forget I have to loop my my bouncy animation, or else it's not going to work. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, there you can see that's it's yeah. Whoops. Oh, I can see the foot's coming forward slightly there. But anyway, like I said, the same thing happens if you find that for whatever reason the foot looks like it's in the wrong place, like it seems to be here, like it's too far forward. You can always, and look at that, that foot's going backwards. You can, if there's been a mistake, you can simply go and adjust the feet, but you will always adjust them much further down the the actual, you know, the thing itself. You know, you adjust them down the curve, so you're not gonna, like if feet are a little bit too far forward here, I just adjust them back slightly. I can see that this should be flat as well. So yeah, so I just need to make sure that this is maybe pulled back a little bit. Yeah, and by doing that, you kind of sort any potential problems out. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like I said, there's measuring, but it's, you know, I hope you found some of this of use.